A market-to-market investigation shows that USDA knew in early August of 2016 that seeds distributed in some parts of the Midwest likely accelerated the arrival of a costly southern weed. Despite the warning, federal officials were still drafting a letter for all of the potentially affected landowners months later. Some state-level agriculture officials and media outlets, including this program, were spreading the word that Palmer amaranth, a type of pigweed, had accidentally been included in native plant seed blends used to sow Conservation Reserve Program, or CRP ground. According to USDA emails obtained by Market to Market under the Freedom of Information Act, federal officials were still working on a national bulletin and letter for participants in CRP, pollinator, and wildlife planting programs as of late February. Iowa State University scientists began to suspect and publicize the problem last summer, when the number of Iowa counties with the yield-sapping weed suddenly increased from 5 to 48. Illinois and Minnesota discovered the same problem, but in far fewer counties. University weed scientists in Iowa, Minnesota, and Illinois decided early on to spread the word. They were concerned any delay would prevent farmers from having a chance to pull and burn the weeds before they went to seed. University scientists believe Midwest suppliers, facing unusually high demand, purchased some of their seeds from sources in Texas and Kansas, where palmer is common. A Minnesota company that sold seed used on palmer-infested CRP grounds was fined $4,000 this week for violating state seed laws. While debate took place in Washington, D.C. over what to do, a small soil and water conservation district office in Clark County, Illinois, took less than 10 days to inform growers in their area that a potential problem existed and asked farmers to check for the weed. The letter, dated August 9th, said, "Last week we were made aware of established Palmer amaranth growing in several CRP fields that were planted with seed purchased from us. There have been a lot of rumors over the past few days. However, we want you to know we are looking into the matter." The Commissioner of Agriculture in the state of Minnesota declared an eradication emergency and teamed up with the Twin Cities branch of USDA in late November. The two agencies crafted and sent a letter to just those Minnesota landholders potentially affected by the problem. Landowners in a few Iowa counties also received notification from USDA.
I think where we really missed out was not notifying landowners in August or September. By the end of August, it was very clear that contaminated seed mixes were the problems. In the smaller contracts of 3 or 4 acres, it would not have taken that much time to walk those fields and remove the Palmer amaranth.
Palmer amaranth, also known as careless weed, can produce hundreds of thousands of seeds per plant. Some strains of palmer found in southern states have developed herbicide resistance, forcing farmers to spend up to $30 more per acre to hire crews to pull the weed. The 351 pages of emails and attached documents obtained by Market to Market do show that many USDA officials took the problem seriously. One USDA entomologist wrote, "These introductions could be especially problematic if the plants are found to be tolerant to glyphosate and/or other herbicides." And nearly 4 months later, an NRCS agronomist wrote, "The issue is that the weed, Palmer amaranth, which is very prolific and very dangerous for cropland production, actually an invasive species in Minnesota, has been coming up on CRP pollinator plantings as well as equip pollinator plantings." Another NRCS official expressed frustration with his government peers in the Office of Pest Management Policy. OPMP seems to be on the rampage on this issue, with some merit, but we really need to see some proof that the Palmer amaranth was in the native seed mixes. The same official expressed concerns early on that pollinator programs could be harmed if farmers believed the weed was spreading through seed blends before the source was indisputable. First is that Palmer amaranth is not a state noxious weed in many states, so there are no restrictions on it. Second is that seed labs which test for germination, purity, and weed seed can't distinguish the Palmer amaranth from other amaranth species. Minnesota added the weed to its list in 2014, and Iowa's legislature has a bill pending that would do the same. The same NRCS official, in an apparent reference to Iowa State University weed scientist Bob Hartzler, wrote on August 8, 2016, "I have concern with Iowa News release of their certainty that Palmer amaranth came in with contaminated seed sources, and any alarm that might create with farmers considering planting pollinator habitat."
We heard from some of the local offices that they had been told not to preemptively tell people to go out and look for Palmer amaranth. And so that was very frustrating because we knew that if we dealt with the issue during 2016, we could prevent those plants from going to seed and greatly simplify eradicating the Palmer amaranth.
Hartzler said federal officials are considering exceptions to the herbicide spraying bans that CRP landowners face. For Market to Market, I'm Colleen Bradford Krantz.